The end of an eternal rivalry. 7 years ago, one of the greatest rivalries in anime history reached its explosive conclusion. For the very last time, Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha battled to settle things once and for all. The rivalry between these two ninjas had been a central part of the Naruto series since the very beginning. Ever since they were young children at the Ninja Academy, Naruto and Sasuke have shared an equal amount of animosity and camaraderie with each other. Sasuke was a naturally gifted ninja, popular, and came from a powerful clan. Naruto was at the bottom of his class and an outcast. Despite their differences, the two boys each understood what it was like to be alone, which cemented a strong bond between them. Ninja brothers from different ninja mothers. This bond went much deeper than a childhood friendship. It transcended lifetimes. Centuries before the start of the series, there was a man named Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the Sage of Six Paths, who had two sons named Ashura and Indra. These siblings fought with one another over who would be their father's successor. This rivalry would eventually lead to their deaths and a multi-generational blood feud between their descendants for centuries to come. Each brother was so powerful that their respective chakra would continue to reincarnate into major figures throughout history. The reincarnations were destined to befriend each other, but ultimately kill one another over a difference in ideals. Naruto and Sasuke were the newest reincarnations, and just like their predecessors, they came to blows over their competing plans for the ninja world. Fortunately, Naruto was able to break the cycle. During their final battle at the Valley of the End, Naruto avoided killing Sasuke and convinced him that they should work together instead of against each other. The outcast became a hero and saved his closest friend. This established a lasting era of peace in the ninja world. But what if things had gone differently? What if Naruto had failed to overcome the cycle of hatred and died at Sasuke's hands? Well, before we explore this terrifying what-if scenario, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss an upload, and smash that like button for some plot armor today. What did Sasuke want? For the majority of the Naruto series, Sasuke's primary motivation was revenge. He dedicated his entire life to avenging his clan by killing his older brother Itachi. In pursuit of that goal, he fully gave himself over to the hate inside of him, sacrificing his friendships and his place in the village. Sasuke abandoned Konoha and trained for years under the legendary Sannin, Orochimaru. This training finally gave him the strength he needed to take on Itachi. The fated battle between brothers would climactically be decided. It was only after Itachi's death, however, that Sasuke's world truly started to fall apart. Almost immediately after the death of his brother, the man he hated most in the world, he learned the truth about the Uchiha clan. Itachi hadn't massacred the clan for power like he claimed. He did it to protect Konoha from a coup d'etat that the Uchiha were planning. Under the orders of Danzo, an elder in Konoha, Itachi slaughtered all of his family members except for Sasuke. Itachi's love for his little brother was so strong that he could not bring himself to kill him. Instead, Itachi chose to lie and hide the Uchiha clan's betrayal. Itachi pretended to be a villain and joined a criminal organization by the name of the Akatsuki. He hoped that Sasuke would come to him one day and kill him, making him a hero to the people of Konoha. Sasuke was intended to never know the truth about Itachi or his family. And I don't think anyone in their right mind would argue the fact that Itachi Uchiha made one of the biggest sacrifices in the series. And furthermore, he is definitely a contender for best big brother in anime. His plan almost succeeded if not for the intervention of Obito Uchiha, who told Sasuke everything. This revelation nearly broke Sasuke and sent him spiraling down an even darker path. Suddenly, Sasuke was filled with more hatred than ever before. He despised Konoha for ordering the assassination of his family, hiding the truth from him, and using his brother as a pawn. He then had a new target for his revenge. Sasuke's new plan was to crush Konoha, and his first victim would be Danzo. The next series of choices that Sasuke made turned him into an international criminal in the ninja world. He joined the Akatsuki, invaded another village, attacked the Jinchuriki, and assaulted the 5 Kage summit in order to get to Danzo. Now, every village in the ninja world had ample reason to want Sasuke dead. He became public enemy number 1. Eventually, he was able to take his revenge on Danzo, killing the men that had caused him so much pain. Even though he had murdered the people responsible for his family's deaths, Sasuke was still just as miserable and angry as he was before, if not even more so. After years of giving into his hate and need for revenge, Sasuke was left hollow and unsatisfied. During the 4th Great Shinobi War, Itachi had been revived by Kabuto with Edo Tensei, but had managed to regain control of his body. Itachi went to confront Kabuto and end his Edo Tensei jutsu. In the midst of this pursuit, Sasuke found Itachi and received the opportunity to fight alongside his brother against Kabuto. When the siblings succeeded, Itachi told Sasuke that he made many mistakes in life and was responsible for Sasuke's pain. No matter what decision Sasuke made, Itachi would always love him. This encounter with Itachi caused Sasuke to rethink his perspective of the world and Konoha. Why would Itachi choose the village over his own clan, and why were there so many people willing to die to protect it? Sasuke went on his own search for understanding, which led to him reviving the 4 deceased Hokages. After talking to them, Sasuke learned that a village was a place where people could come together and find peace. The village and the people that lived there were worth protecting. Sasuke's goal had changed once again. Now, he wanted to become the next Hokage and protect Konoha in his own way. Sasuke had gone from Avenger to potential candidate for Ninja President. For the first time in a long time, Naruto and Sasuke were aligned, even if only by way of a shared dream. The two of them worked together to end the war and defeat Kaguya Otsutsuki, the mother of chakra. Once everything was done, instead of freeing those trapped in the infinite Tsukuyomi and returning to the village, he did something that nobody expected. He recaptured all the tailed beasts and declared his intention to kill the 5 Kage. Talk about a major heel turn. Sasuke believed that the old leaders of the past had only managed to cause suffering and instigate wars, that they had only chosen to work together during the 4th Great Shinobi War because they had a shared enemy that threatened them all. There was no guarantee that the alliance between the villages would last. From Sasuke's perspective, the only way to ensure lasting peace was to become the world's new enemy and take on all of the world's hatred. Sasuke chose to model himself after the ninja he admired most, his brother Itachi. Itachi had accepted all of Sasuke's hate and became a villain without complaint. He had taken on everyone's burdens and suffering in silence for the greater good. This was the kind of ninja that Sasuke wanted to become. Just like Itachi before him, Sasuke would be alone and lose, but the rest of the world would be safe and win. The only thing that stood in his way was Naruto. After sealing Kaguya away, the two of them were the strongest ninjas on the planet. Only Naruto was powerful enough to stop Sasuke from beginning his revolution. During their final battle, Sasuke came intending to kill Naruto. This would sever his last remaining bond and truly allow him to walk his path of loneliness. How would Sasuke take over the world? With Naruto dead, Sasuke would stand alone as the single strongest being in the world. With the power of a fully awakened Sharingan, a unique Rinnegan, and the power of all 9-tailed beasts, Sasuke would become unstoppable. After Kaguya was defeated, everyone on the planet was still trapped in the infinite Tsukuyomi with the exception of Kakashi and Sakura. Only Naruto and Sasuke had the power to free them from their eternal sleep. The other remaining members of Team 7 had nowhere near enough power to even challenge Sasuke. The two of them would have had to either submit to Sasuke or die by his hand like Naruto. The next step of his plan was to kill the 5 Kage. They would still be stuck in the infinite Tsukuyomi, so killing them wouldn't even be difficult. And even if all 5 Kage were awake and able to fight, they would still lose to Sasuke. During the war, the Kage had fought against the resurrected Madara Uchiha. Despite their valiant efforts, they still lost with superior strength. Madara's immortal body, eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Rinnegan, and Hashirama cells were just far too much for the leaders of the ninja world to handle. It was honestly one of the most one-sided fights in the entire series. They all nearly lost their lives to him. Tsunade took the worst of the damage, being cut in half by a massive tree. They would have died if Tsunade had not healed them. Sasuke would be far stronger than Madara had ever been. Taking out the 5 Kage would be like child's play to him. With no one able to stop him, Sasuke could safely release the infinite Tsukuyomi, freeing the trapped people of the planet. The ninja world would be both leaderless and defenseless against Sasuke's ambition. From this point, Sasuke has a lot of options on how to enact his plan. Through sheer brute force, he could establish himself as Hokage and make everyone follow his commands through fear. The threat of Sasuke's wrath would be enough to keep everyone in the ninja world in line. The last Uchiha would be a public figure hated and feared by the entire world, uniting everyone under a single threat. No villages would ever start wars or conflicts again. Alternatively, Sasuke could maintain his control over the world the same way that Obito controlled the village hidden in the mist. After Obito took control of the Akatsuki, he traveled to the mist and placed the 4th Mizukage, Kagura Karatachi, under a Genjutsu with his Sharingan. Talk about petty. For years, Obito manipulated events in the mist through Yagura effectively acting as a real leader of the village without anyone discovering his identity. Again, being very petty over the whole Rin death thing, and almost irreparably ruining the country from the inside out, leading to what is known as the Bloody Mist. Sasuke could do something very similar with his own Sharingan, which is far stronger than Obito's. When the 5 villages picked their new Kage respectfully, Sasuke could place them all under a Genjutsu. With the new Kage under his complete control, Sasuke could manipulate the decisions of the ninja world from the shadows without anyone ever realizing. Any new person that became Kage would also be placed in a Genjutsu. This would allow Sasuke to maintain his secret domination of the planet permanently. Sasuke would essentially be orchestrating a one-man Illuminati. Sasuke could also do something similar to Nagato's original plan for the Akatsuki. As you may recall, Nagato planned to use the power of the tailed beast to create great disasters or wars that would unify the world through shared pain. Anytime that the villages forgot about this shared pain, they would cause another catastrophe to remind them. This would create a never-ending cycle of destruction and peace. Sasuke would follow a similar plan, using his immense power to cause mass destruction. The ninja world would be given a common enemy, forcing everyone to join together to stop him. Sasuke could fake his death, establishing an era of peace. Whenever that era of peace would end, he could re-emerge to threaten the world all over again. Kinda like a supervillain that always comes back from the dead. No matter what option Sasuke would choose, he would no doubt become a permanent enemy to the ninja world. So, what would the ninja world be like? With Sasuke as the true leader of the ninja world, it would likely be a very different place. As it is now, Naruto is in charge and the 5 villages cooperate without the threat of violence. There has been a rapid advancement in technology that has made everyone's lives easier and more enjoyable. Under Sasuke's rule, however, that future would not become a reality. Instead of inventions that improved life, the 5 villages would spend all their time designing weapons and jutsu that could potentially take out the world's eternal enemy, Sasuke. The ninja world would likely become much more militant than it already is. The hidden villages would be very invested in training ninjas that could challenge Sasuke's immense power. Many ninja would be experimented on to make stronger fighters, similar to the way Orochimaru performed unethical experiments on children. Sasuke would have to deal with a constant barrage of ninja attempting to dethrone him and save the world. And as we all know, the ninja in Naruto tend to have a bad habit of never giving up, no matter the odds. The world as a whole would be a much darker and miserable place. Citizens would live in constant fear, never knowing when Sasuke would strike again and destroy everything they cared about. The fear surrounding Sasuke would transform him into a mythical figure in the minds of the people. Children would be told scary bedtime stories about Sasuke to convince them to behave. He would be the new boogeyman. Various religions and cults would start to form with Sasuke as their god. Scared citizens would pray to him and make sacrifices in his name in hope that they would be able to be spared from his next onslaught. Others might pray to him, hoping that their enemies would be the next to suffer his wrath. Sasuke's goal of peace would ultimately fail no matter how hard he tried. There would be more strife and conflict in the world than there was before. There may not be any more direct wars between villages, but there would still be plenty of suffering. Countless ninja would die needlessly trying to free the world from Sasuke's control. Villages would always be suspicious that their leaders were actually puppets under Sasuke's dominion. The people of the world will live in a constant state of fear of his insurmountable power. These are issues that Sasuke cannot fix with brute force, mind control, or fear. But what would Sasuke become? When Sasuke failed to kill Naruto at the Valley of the End, the two of them had a long talk about their differing ideals. During this conversation, Sasuke got to see where their different paths would have ultimately taken them. Sasuke's ended with him alone in the dark, while Naruto's ended with everyone, including Sasuke, together in the light. This realization that Naruto's plan for peace could work was enough to convince him to give up his plans for revolution. And as such, Sasuke would go on to live a happy life with Sakura and their daughter Sarada. But if Sasuke had never had that realization, where would he have ended up? Sasuke planned to take on all of the world's hatred all by himself. Doing something like that with absolutely no allies to rely on would fundamentally change him as a person. Sasuke would be completely isolated from everyone and have no one to share his feelings with. It would be a truly miserable experience that would also make him much stronger as a result. When Sasuke spoke with the resurrected Hokages, he learned a shocking secret about the Uchiha clan from the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju. This being the fact that the Uchiha clan suffers from an ideal called the Curse of Hatred. This curse caused the Uchiha clan to experience feelings of love and friendship more strongly than others. They form powerful bonds with others and become deeply devoted to those they care about. When they lose the people they love, they also experience the pain of that loss more deeply than others. That pain quickly turns to hate and causes the Uchiha to turn to darkness, which ultimately consumes them. It is a vicious cycle that characters like Indra, Madara, and Obito fell victim to. These are all characters that could have been the greatest of heroes, but their plan corrupted them. This curse also unlocks incredible power within the Uchiha. When they experience a pain from their loss, it causes a unique chakra to form within their brain and pool within their eyes. This is how the Sharingan is unlocked. Sasuke unlocked his own Sharingan when he learned that Itachi had massacred their clan. The more emotional pain that an Uchiha experiences, the further they awaken their Sharingan, eventually unlocking the Mangekyo Sharingan. Plainly put, the greater the trauma and loss that an Uchiha goes through, the stronger they become. If Sasuke had succeeded in his plans, he would have lost everything he cared about. He would have experienced more emotional pain than anyone else to ever exist. And as such, his power would have grown even more from this unimaginable anguish. The stronger Sasuke becomes, the more isolated he is, which creates this never-ending loop of trauma and power. And so Sasuke would become ridiculously strong, but at the cost of his own happiness. Before Naruto and Sasuke's final confrontation, Naruto questions how Sasuke's plan would work out long term. Eventually, Sasuke would age and die like every other human. Without him alive, there would be no one to make sure that the world does not fall back into war. Even godlike individuals like Hagoromo and Madara could not stop the ravages of time. Sasuke counters Naruto's point by explaining that he has access to the Rinnegan. And so there are countless methods of immortality that are available to him now. And Sasuke was correct on this point. There have been many ninja in Naruto that have discovered some form of immortality, most of them being from the Akatsuki. Sasori of the Red Sand built himself an immortal puppet body that would not age. Orochimaru hopped from body to body learning new jutsu along the way. And all of these methods were performed without the Rinnegan. With it, Sasuke has even more options. The Rinnegan has several powerful abilities that can be used to cheat death. It can even revive the dead at the cost of the user's life. And this is how Madara returned to his flesh and blood body during the war. He forced Obito to use the Renni Rebirth Jutsu to resurrect him. Sasuke could give another individual the Rinnegan and then make them revive him if he ever died. He could also force someone to resurrect him with Edo Tensei as well. Madara also used the Rinnegan to summon the Geto statue when he was close to death. With the statue, Madara was able to connect himself to it and continuously absorb its chakra. This allowed him to live far past his normal lifespan. Frankly, the Rinnegan is the perfect get-out-of-jail-free card. Any of these methods would work for Sasuke's plan. One way or another, Sasuke would live forever ruling over the world for centuries to come. He'd be forced to watch those he cared about most age and die without him. The human connections and bonds that make life worth living would forever be outside of his reach. It would honestly be a torturous existence for Sasuke. A lonely and eternal misery just to make sure the world stays peaceful. If Sasuke had somehow managed to kill Naruto during their final battle, both he and the world would have suffered for it. Or at least those are our thoughts. Let us know down in the comments if you agree or disagree. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.